Mr. and Mrs. America, I want to thank you. As our radio ratings start to come in, we are up big in every single market that has come in so far, and that's thanks to you. It's also what I tell people who come up to me and say, I'd like to get into radio, what should I do? I tell them, be yourself and tell the truth. And take stands that you believe in. Don't take stands just because other people take them. And that's the truth, too. Pete Hegseth this today, who I think is a terrific Secretary of Defense, as a matter of fact, talking about these alleged leakers and these reports on the leaks. And he says that really these people and this attack is designed to try and stop President Trump's agenda. That is his foreign policy agenda. Now, I've been warning here about these isolationists who come out of the Soros-Koch Quincy Institute and some of their other entities that they've created, Koch in particular. I've been warning about podcasters. I've been warning about people with subscription service platforms and so forth. They're out there. They're a small minority. They are cabal, and they are pushing positions that are utterly anti-American, and they're not in our best interests. I mean, I think if you ask 9 out of 10 people on the street if it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon, they'd say absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because people are smart. The American people are smart. What's interesting is these folks who want you to believe they have a bigger and broader influence than they actually do throughout the country and also with President Trump. These people have come up with nothing new. There's nothing new about their foreign policy. George McGovern used to spew it in the 1970s. He was considered a leftist. Pacifism, isolationism, appeasement is not new. In fact, it's quite old. And it's resulted in the death of many, many people, millions of people. In the face of a regime that is an Islamist Nazi regime whose ideology is well understood, who says death to America over and over again, to make common good with these people, to interview these people, to embrace these people, to give aid and comfort to them by the way you attack those who dare to speak out and warn the American people about what's taking place. We've seen this throughout American history. It's about as close to treasonous as you can get. They are the modern-day Tokyo Roses, except the difference is they're Americans. Americans with mouthpieces, not foreigners. I want you to listen to Pete Hegseth on Fox and Friends this morning about what's taking place. Cut 8, go.
If you remember when this all started, the first go-around, because this is the second go-around, right? They peddle old stuff, they kick it back up. I said repeatedly, no one's texting war plans. You know why I said that? Because I'm in the bowels of the Pentagon every single day. Just 10 minutes ago, I was looking at actual war plans of things that were ongoing or pending things to happen. Because that's on a regular basis on classified systems. That's my job for the war fighters, for the President of the United States. I look at war plans every single day. What was shared over Signal, then and now, however you characterize it, was informal, unclassified coordinations for media coordination and other things. That's what I've said from the beginning. At the beginning, it was left-wing reporters from The Atlantic who got a hold of it and then wanted to create a problem for the president. This is what it's all about, trying to get at President Trump and his agenda. Now, here at the Defense Department, because, Brian, I want this to be very clear. We take the classification of information very important. It's very significant to us that we safeguard it. And so when we had leaks, which we have had here, we did a serious leak investigation. And through that leak investigation, unfortunately, we found some folks that we believe were not holding to the protocols that we hold dear here at the Defense Department. Through that investigation, they have been moved on, and that investigation continues. As a result of that, everything we do here is above board, trying to make sure that we safeguard information. In this point, those folks who were leaking, who have been pushed out of the building, are now attempting to leak and sabotage the president's agenda and what we're doing. And that's unfortunate. It's not what I do. It's not how we operate. And so you've got another allegation being pushed again, not based on how we're operating around here. We're for the warfighters. We're for the president. And none of this is based in reality.
You know, this is very important to understand. I know who these people are. I don't know about these three specifically. I'm talking about I know what this mindset is. I know where it comes from. I know who's pushing it. Radical libertarians, in the case of Koch, and American Marxists in the case of Soros. And they've come together to push the same agenda. They've created institutes together. They have created, as Rush would say, mind-numb robots who push this stuff, and they actually want you to believe the opposite of what you know to be true, that nuclear weapons in the hand of the Iranians is okay, and that any deal with Iran is okay. Just don't take military action to put an end to it. You know how long that military action would take? First of all, Israel will be the point of the spear, not us. But secondly, maybe 12 hours. That's it. The Israelis knocked out the nuclear site in Syria. In Syria. The U.S. policy was for them not to do that, but they did it anyway. Because they know the consequences of a mushroom cloud like I showed you over the weekend, or you can see on the internet. For the state of Israel, it would mean it wouldn't exist anymore. No prime minister in his right mind could ever tolerate a nuclear weapon in the hands of the enemy. And there are many in the Middle East. No American president can tolerate a nuclear weapon in the hands of people who share the same ideology, the same terrorist mentality as those who hit us on 9/11. You have to be out of your mind. And yet we actually have people who have platforms. We now have people who are embracing the enemy, who are promoting the enemy, and accusing America and Donald Trump and you and me of being warmongers. And now you have people who are leaking, who are alleged to have leaked. And what Pete Hegseth says, some of them are his friends. I don't know the facts. I'm just reading what I'm reading. Is that the effort now is to undermine and stop Trump's agenda. Trump is not a blind ideologue. He's quite the contrary. His eyes are wide open. The battle now is over what Witkoff is doing, if it's going to be good enough, if some deal that they want to negotiate can actually work, given what we know about these terrorists and how they blow off their obligations, because the hour's late. The hour's late. We don't have 10 years to play with anymore. And they've reached the point where they can make nuclear weapons. And all this talk about stopping them from making nuclear weapons through various arrangements and deals and so forth, they have violated every single one of them. Which is what you would expect. They're terrorists. They do not believe in upholding contracts. That's a Western idea. They believe destroying you and me is what God commands them to do. This is why they slaughter each other, because you have the purest Muslims against Muslims who want to live and let live in their own countries. And the Muslims who want to live and let live are the ones who they attack and brutalize and rape and throw in the prisons and so forth. These are so-called purist Muslims. These are fundamentalists. These are terrorists. And I could bring on a Muslim friend after a Muslim friend, whether it's the bank manager that I know, whether it's Zuhdi Jasser that I know, whether it's people I deal with in other things that I do that I know. They'll tell you exactly the same thing. They're scared to death of these terrorists. Or maybe the over 500,000 people who were slaughtered in Syria. They were Muslims, for the most part. Or the people being murdered now in Yemen by the Houthis. They're Muslims. Or the people being slaughtered in Iran. They're Muslims. But their ultimate goal is the United States. Their ultimate goal is the United States. I don't know why the ignoramuses have the following they have, but it's not unusual. Lindbergh was an isolationist. Right up to minutes before we were attacked at Pearl Harbor. They said, don't worry about Hitler. He's too far away. He's not aimed at us, and screw Europe. Just like you hear guys like Mike Lee, Senator Mike Lee, say, let's get out of NATO. Boy, is he out of his lane. Let's get out of NATO. The enemy would be thrilled with us getting out of NATO. And what if the Europeans are attacked? That's not our problem. I mean, we're not talking about ancient history here, America. We're talking about things that happened 80, 90, 100 years ago that resulted in over 400,000 Americans dying in battle. There wasn't a NATO before World War II, was there? There weren't American bases in Europe before World War II, was there? We're not an imperialist, colonialist country. We're Americans. And when people attack our country, they're attacking your brothers and sisters, your fathers and mothers, your ancestors who fought for this country. And Pete Hegseth is right. These isolationists, I don't care if they hang around the White House. I don't care if they hang around TV studios. I don't care if they have their own microphones with their video cameras. I don't give a crap what they have. They're undermining this administration. That's what they're doing. And so we will see if there's a deal, if the deal is the kind of deal that we as the American people think is a good deal or not. That's what we do. Now, here's the other thing. The left-wing media like Dan Abrams and that crap site he created, Mediaite, or the Washington Compost, or the New York Slimes, or all the rest of them. To them, this is a big game. Does somebody at Fox question XYZ? Does somebody conservative radio question XYZ? I'm doing exactly what I've done for a quarter of a century behind this microphone. I'm doing exactly what I did as a senior member of the Reagan administration. It's not a question of taking on a president who I love in the case of Donald Trump or Ronald Reagan. It's not a question of taking them on at all. A decision hasn't been made. The battle right now is the battle of ideas. The kooks, who I've already defined, and the rest of us. That's the battle. So we're supposed to be quiet and silent at a time like this? I'm not leaking. You're not leaking. We're not threatening the administration. We're not undermining the President of the United States or the Secretary of Defense or the Secretary of State or anybody else. They are, in the liberal media, they want Trump to fail. They want the economy to collapse. They want Fox to go away. They want conservative radio to evaporate. That's what they want. I'm just laying it out here, folks, based on my own knowledge and experience. I have tons of faith in Donald Trump because he's not one of these Lilliputians. I have nothing but the deepest contempt for sites like Mediaite, the Drudge Report, for newspapers like the Slimes that covered up the Holocaust, and so, by the way, did the Washington Compost. I have nothing but contempt for the main networks, for CNN and MSNBC that embrace Hamas and Hamas's data, that trash our country, that trash the state of Israel. They do the same thing over at Mediaite. I have nothing but the worst contempt for these people because they contribute nothing to the public debate. They provide no knowledge to the American people. They are, in my view, inciting violence with the kinds of things they say and the people they highlight over and over again. And by the way, as you're about to find out, we're back to Hitler and the Democrats and the media.